I am so proud of you. You keep coming back here week after week looking for ways to become a better version of you. And I think that's amazing. And I just want to say personal development matters. And I'm so glad that you're with me every week learning something that can matter to you and that can really change things. And I'm going to ask you to really dial in today and think about some of these topics that we're going to explore because we're going to talk about something that is known as the six personal perspectives. It is a course actually that Keller Williams teaches. And before you turn this off, it has nothing to do with real estate. So stay with me. It has everything to do with really tapping into achieving at a higher level. And it has everything to do with looking at success strategies that will help you to really, I think, connect with the outcomes you want. So let's just start right away by grounding ourselves in this question. What is it that differentiates those who achieve at a high level from others who might seem to not accomplish as much? So if you think about some of the most successful people in the world, whether it's in sports and entertainment, business, people that you have in your own sphere, people in your community, the ones who seem to be achieving success at a really high level, what is it about them? Is there something that makes them different? And I will say this, it may not have anything to do with who they are as much as it has to do with what they focus on. And I think it's important for us to understand there are some key things that really help us to achieve success at a bigger level. And one of those things is your mindset. And your mindset is really the combination of what you're thinking, how you're motivating yourself, and the actions that follow. And so we're going to take a deep dive into that and we're going to explore what these six personal perspectives are. And I'm going to break it down so that you can decide how to use this as a blueprint for achieving higher levels of success. So the first perspective is develop self-mastery. And so simply mastery is when you decide that you're going to take on mastering you as your greatest project. And yes, it's a challenge, but when you accept this challenge, you will find that you can effectively lead yourself and direct your success. And I mean, let's just be clear about mastery, right? So when you think of someone that has mastered something, they have made a decision to excel at something, right? They made a decision to put the time and the effort into achieving excellence. And by doing that, they're resisting or rejecting mediocrity. So if you decide to become a master in karate, then you are going to put a lot of time and effort into that so you can achieve all the different ranks and get up to black belt. And so when you've attained that level, you can say you are a master. So when we talk about self-mastery, it means that we're putting the time in, we're working on ourselves, and we are really looking at personal development, growth. We're looking at how we're learning new things and applying those things to achieve and excel in everything that we're doing. That is self-mastery. And when you have attained both levels of self-mastery and mastery, you can feel that you're more equipped to accomplish goals. So the first personal perspective is the pursuit of self-mastery. The second principle is something that we've talked about here before too on Mojo, and that is the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. And the truth behind this principle is knowing that and understanding and accepting that there is basically a pattern of predictable imbalance in life. That's what we mean by the 80-20 rule or the 80-20 principle. So in other words, what we're saying is that by focusing on a few things, you actually will achieve bigger results. It's understanding that not all things are created equal when it comes to our activities or the way we spend our time. There are some things, if you were to sit back right now and think about the goals that you want to achieve, there are some things that will bring you bigger results when you focus on them than a lot of other things on the list. And so 20% of your effort can lead or yield 80% of your results. That's the 80/20 principle. It's understanding that if you were to sit down and write out a list of all the things that you have to get done today, I will guarantee you that of all those things that you write down, there's probably only two or three that will really move the needle and make a difference in accomplishing your goals. That would be part of your 20%, and your 20% activities deserve your first attention. It's also what we call the big rocks. And so when you focus on your big rocks, you will see how it will move the needle and bring you further towards your goal. It will bring you probably 80% of the results. It'll help you make more money. It will help you get to your goal faster. It could help you achieve more time with family. It could help you feel more organized, right? So it's really getting clear about what your priorities are and understanding what those 20% activities are. And understanding that those other things on the list, the other 80%, when we spend our time there, we wind up floundering. We wind up feeling busy but not productive. And so it's understanding that those big rocks, those 20% activities, are what truly define productivity and will help you to see the results that you want. So that is the second principle. It is the 80/20 rule, and understanding how it works in your life and really applying it. So today we're talking about the 6 personal perspectives. And we've talked about the first one being the pursuit of self-mastery, which means it's a commitment to understanding yourself, understanding your strengths and weaknesses, creating a personal growth plan, pursuing the things that help you develop more into who you need to be in order to achieve your goals. The second principle we just talked about was understanding the Pareto principle, or the 80/20 rule, that says there is this pattern of predictable imbalance in life, that probably only 20% of what we focus on is really what brings the big results. 20% effort will equal 80% results, not the other way around. And now we're going to go into the third principle, which is understanding what we call the E to P model. And the E to P model is understanding how to become more purposeful, really. So let me explain it. So the E stands for entrepreneurial style. Basically, it's doing what comes naturally. So if you think about what you like, if you think about the things that you're naturally good at, if you look at the fact that you probably have aligned with a business or a career that fits that natural style, you might be in real estate because you love people, because you are somewhat intuitive, because you really like to be in control of your time, because you have that entrepreneurial style, right? And so in doing what comes natural, you are able to really start your path and achieve success because you're in your strength zone. Now, if you're in banking, there's a million reasons why you feel like you're in the right place there too. So again, it doesn't matter what business you're in. It is about understanding that you've come into this space because you're connecting with the things that you do well that come natural to you. And as you do apply those things, you will see that you achieve success. You start to grow in your career, you start to grow, maybe even get some promotions, and you see that your business is thriving, you're making money, until it might not be enough, until you hit what we call a ceiling of achievement. Because what happens to all of us is that basically what got us here and helped us to grow at some point is not enough to sustain us to the next level. And so we hit a ceiling and we just can't go any further when we only rely on the things that got us here. And listen, for a lot of us, when we hit that ceiling, sometimes we feel it, sometimes we don't, but we start to notice the result of hitting our head on the ceiling, right? We might feel frustrated. We might feel disappointed in the results that we're getting. We might find that we're not as competitive as we once were. We might find other people outpacing us in the industry, right? And so that can be really disappointing. If that goes on too long, we might actually start to find that we doubt whether or not we're doing the right thing anymore. We might start to even consider a new career or a new business or, some greener pasture somewhere. But because you are who you are, and because you really did rely on your strengths to get you here, you probably find a way to pull yourself up and get going again, right? The resilience kicks in, the grit kicks in, and you might find that you move forward again. But if we don't find a way to really become more purposeful and break through that ceiling, the yo-yo effect will just continue. And I am sure I'm feeling it right now. Someone's listening to this right now saying, "Oh my gosh, Anna, this is where I am right now." And I hear you and I feel you. And we've been there before. All of us have. And so if you feel that you're hitting your head on the ceiling and repeatedly, it's time to get clearer about how to become more purposeful. And it's only by applying a purposeful style that will allow you, I want you to picture like this ceiling above you. Being more purposeful is what's going to allow you to break through, like blasting through a wall, like blasting through with dynamite. And here are some ways that you can achieve higher levels of success by being more purposeful. It's by applying more clarity and focus. It could be applying more strategic options. Instead of doing what comes natural, you're going to sit down and think about how to create a strategic plan with thoughts and ideas and actions and initiatives that really move you forward. It could be applying more models and systems in your business. It could be hiring people. It could be hiring a coach. It could be achieving deeper levels of accountability, right? So it could be more coaching, more training, more consulting, because whatever you knew to get you where you are may not be enough knowledge to continue on the path. I know myself, I've been in business for over 30 years and I'm still learning new things every day around leadership, around business strategy, AI, right? There's always new things to learn. And so if we're not purposeful about that, we can find ourselves pretty stuck. And so that is what moves you from doing what comes naturally in that entrepreneurial style, to doing things more purposefully. And I just want to say this, don't get hung up on the word entrepreneurial, because you might be a part of a team or a staff or a company, you work for someone else. It may not identify as being entrepreneurial, but we all have that entrepreneurial style. It's what allows us to achieve or follow a goal or work for something. And so that's what we mean by entrepreneurial. It just means, again, doing what comes naturally. So when you apply more purpose, you will break through to your next level of achievement. Now, here's what I need everyone to understand. This cycle repeats itself. Yeah, I don't want you to feel bummed out about that, but I do want you to understand the cycle will repeat itself. In other words, after a while, right, as you started to take on new knowledge and new systems and have a deeper focus, and you're working with more strategic options, you're working with your coach, you're succeeding, you're moving forward, what do you think starts to happen? Those things, those new things that felt unnatural at first, well, the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. So at some point, your purposeful style becomes entrepreneurial again, becomes you do what comes naturally. And so I just want you to picture that this will repeat itself, and it's good. It's exciting. Don't let that make you feel like, oh, it's good, because I think we have to be up for the challenge of always defining ourselves, reinventing ourselves, growing ourselves, learning new things, right? So I just want you to celebrate the fact that when you feel that you've hit your head on a ceiling, don't get too frustrated. Don't stay there for too long. Just figure out what it takes to get you to the next level. All right, so we're going to move on to the fourth perspective, and that is being learning based. Number 4 is being learning based. So really, it's understanding that your knowledge base, as it grows, you will grow. As your knowledge base increases, so will your capacity, so will your potential. And so just ask yourself, what am I doing every day to learn something new that I can apply and use in my career, in my business, in my life to make my life better? Because here's the thing, I love learning, I love reading, and especially in today's world, you can access information anywhere all day long. I think, though, it's important that you do examine what you're spending your time learning and what you're spending your time reading or listening to, and just ask yourself, does it line up with what I say I want? Does it line up with my goals? Does it line up with where I want to be in my personal life, in my career or business, where I want to grow financially? Because sometimes you can just take in a lot of information and a lot of knowledge and you might enjoy it, but at some point, are you using that information to better your life? So I'm not saying that you shouldn't get into reading about things that you like or learning about things that you find interesting, even if it doesn't relate to advancing in your career. But just make sure you spend equal time learning and seeking out information that will. Is that fair? I think it's about being learning based for the purpose of being more productive because these perspectives are really about creating a roadmap to achieve more, to succeed at a higher level. So we just want to make sure that our learning based is giving us an opportunity to use the information and to become, successful or to become better for it. Okay, number five. Number five is release unlimiting beliefs. And this is so powerful because I want to talk to you about the fact that our beliefs are the rules we live by. And we all have beliefs. And those beliefs are either moving you forward or possibly holding you back. And so, what we're talking about here is removing, releasing those limiting beliefs. And I want you to think about what are the things that hold you back? What are the thoughts that keep you stuck sometimes? What are the thoughts that are really just excuses and they keep you from moving into action? Because when we release our limiting beliefs and create more unlimited thinking, then the world suddenly changes for us. Because limiting beliefs sound like I don't have time, or I don't have enough time for training, or I can't be successful in this market, or I don't have enough experience, or I didn't go to college, right? All those things. Those are some limiting beliefs. Or I've never been good at fill in the blank, or no one would believe if, right? So those are some limiting beliefs. Unlimited thinking or unlimiting beliefs are what move you forward, are what make you think that anything's possible, what helps you to see possibilities rather than challenges. And so when we can move out of limited thinking into unlimited thinking, then we can really start to see possibilities unfold in front of us. So I just want to talk about the process of removing limiting beliefs because it may not be easy for all of you to do it alone. This is really where a coach comes in, someone who can help you to process and move past it. Now, I'm going to say this that for most of us, our limiting beliefs can be very deeply rooted, which means that you may have had them for a long time, could have even started in your childhood. And so there's a deep root there. Let's say a dandelion or a weed in your garden, right? I can go over to the weed in my garden with a pair of scissors and snip it at the stem, and I can feel good for a minute because I don't see it anymore. I feel like I got rid of it. But what I didn't get rid of was the root. And we all know that sooner or later that weed grows back. And then we get frustrated because, I have this unsightly weed in my garden. Well, that is exactly how your beliefs operate. Your beliefs are deeply rooted. And so if you don't pull it out by its root, then it can continue to show up. And I think oftentimes the assistance of a good coach who has that skill set is the person who can help you remove those limiting beliefs. And I've worked with many, many, many people over the years as a coach to help them with that. And so I think that there's a process in order to do it of how you can reframe your thinking and re-examine that belief and redefine it. And so the thing that we have to know is that our beliefs really shape our whole world. So for instance, I'll give you a silly example. If I believe that the only way I achieve luck or success is by hanging out on the left side of the room, what do you think is going to happen every time I go somewhere? I'm going to start thinking about it in the car, right? So that belief starts shaping my thoughts. I start thinking about it in the car, saying, I've got to find the left side of the room. I got to make sure that, when I start this new job tomorrow, that my office is on the left side of the building, right? So now it's shaping all my thinking, and it goes into other thoughts like, oh, if I wind up on the right side of the room, I'm not going to be successful. This is going to get in my way, all those thoughts. And now when I show up, what do you think I do? I look for space on the left side of the room. So it starts to shape what I'm doing, how I'm acting. And I move to the left side of the room or struggle to get to the left side of the room. The challenge in doing that is I'm missing what's happening on the right side of the room. So I know this is a silly example, but I'm hopeful that it's starting to paint a picture for you of what is going on in your own mind with whatever belief you're holding on to, and how that belief is creating all these thoughts, and how those thoughts are creating all the things that you're doing or not doing, and that is creating results in your life, either results that you're feeling or results that you're missing out on. And so it's important for us to work, like I said, with the right coach who can help you reframe your thoughts, reframe them, because you've changed your belief system. And so that your belief system now shapes your thoughts, shapes your actions and your results. Because here's what is true, everyone. Your results, whatever is happening in your life, good, bad, or indifferent, is evidence to you. And so those results are giving you some sort of proof that whatever you thought and believed was right. Even if it wasn't the outcome you wanted, it's proving something to you, right? So we have to reframe that belief so that that cycle changes. Because when we get different results and we see different proof, different evidence showing up, that is one of the things that will help us to reframe our beliefs and our thinking. So I know that's a lot, and that's why I say it's important to work with a coach to help you with that. And if I can help you, please find a way to reach out to me, DM me, send me a note. There's ways that you can connect with me, and I'm happy to talk to you about that. So let's move on before we run out of time this morning. Let's move on to our last perspective, and that's accountability. And I think that this is so important because when we are accountable, we are seeking reality. And when we are accountable, we are staying out of victim mode. And so I realize that for some of you, this might be a hard one to hear, depending on where you are in your life at this moment. But there's a huge difference between victim mentality and being accountable, because the victim mentality is very focused on the status quo, where someone who is okay being accountable knows that there's always options for change. And so the person who is in victim mode is not seeking reality. And they may not even know it. I just want to say that you may not even realize it's happening. But if you're in victim mode, you're feeling sort of stuck. So I want to give you a comparison here. The person who is in victim mode is not seeking reality. The person who is accountable or willing to be accountable wants awareness. They want to seek out reality. They want to know, what is the situation. They're asking questions. The person who's in victim mode is stuck in denial. They're fighting the reality. They're saying things like, that's just the way it is, or this is how I see it, or that must be their perception. It's not really the truth, right? Where I think an individual who is being accountable is seeking clarity, and they're going to ask questions around other people's perceptions. They're going to ask to understand what's going on around them. And someone who's also stuck in victim mode is doing a lot of blaming. They're projecting the reasons why things aren't working on other people, right? I could do better if everyone else did their job. It's not my fault, it's yours. The reason why I can't hit my numbers is because the market is terrible. The economy is the problem. Where someone else who is accountable, they're owning it, and they might be feeling some of the same things that I just said, but they're looking to get past it. So they might say something like, the market is really challenging right now, and I have to figure out a way to succeed. And if it's going to happen, I have to figure it out, right? What do I get to do next? What do I need to do? What do I need to learn? How do I figure this out? They take responsibility for it and know that if something's going to change, it's up to them to make the change. Again, going back to victim mode, I think that that person is looking for a lot of personal excuses. They might be deflecting, like, no one told me, I wasn't aware, it's not part of my job, no one gave me the opportunity, it's just not working for me, I can't think of anything else, right? All that stuff. They're just rolling in what we call some personal excuses versus the person who wants to be accountable is looking for solutions. They're looking for possibilities. They're asking, what are my options? They're asking, how I can get some help. Who can help me? What do I need to learn? What do I need to do differently? What can I do? That's the accountable person. Back to victim mode. Another thing that will help you recognize this in yourself or possibly someone else is there's this feeling of resignation. There's this feeling of, I'm just going to have to wait it out and hope it changes, right? They say things or think things like, well, we'll just wait and see. Well, we've done all that we can. Let's just see, time will tell. It's out of my hands. Well, the proof is in the pudding kind of thing. Versus someone who is on the accountable side of reality, they're just focused on an action plan. They just keep doing things. They figure, okay, well, we're going to try something else. Let's get started on the next thing. Okay, maybe this is not working. Time's up. Let's go to the next idea. They're always thinking how to move forward. They're always thinking and evaluating and sort of doing what we call red light, green light. Remember that game? So you play red light, green light in your business and you say, okay, red light, time out. What's working? Great, let's keep doing that. What's not working? Why isn't it working? Okay, what can we do differently? So there's just this sense of always being able to get on with it or create a new action. And it's based in understanding or asking questions around what is my current reality. And I think it's important to mention that too, because reality can change in a week. But it's about knowing that you ask questions and you seek reality versus someone who's in victim mode who's just not. And I think that, when you're in victim mode, you're just letting life happen to you. When you are accountable, you are letting reality speak to you, but you are always staying in the driver's seat. In other words, you feel like you have control to make decisions around the things that you have control over. I think that's really what is a differential here. It's knowing what's out of your control and what's in your control. And so that is the sixth perspective. It's accountability. It's always recognizing when you need to move out of victim mode and into accountability mode. Now, I just want to say this too. I've been in victim mode before, and so have you. And that in itself is not a crime. That in itself is nothing to feel blame or shame about. I think that it's human, and I just want to normalize it. The key, though, is being aware when you find yourself in victim mode or possibly trusting someone who cares about you or who is a mentor to you or a coach to you that helps you see the reality of being in victim mode and that you work to get to the other side and stay and be in accountability or be in a mode of looking for change. So I just want to tell you that if anything I just shared has you feeling like, oof, I'm a victim right now. I'm a victim mentality. Okay. Okay. Good news is you realize it, you recognize it. What can we do now? Because we've all been there, and I just want you to know that. So I just went through the six personal perspectives. This was written by Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams. And I will tell you that this is something that we teach often in our environment. It was a huge part of our history as a company. It was taught at every meeting. And I really enjoy teaching this in our offices. And that's why I wanted to share it with you here on the podcast. So I would love to know what your thoughts were on this. I would love to hear your feedback on this topic. Now, these six personal perspectives can stand alone and work together. That's what's so great about it. And you can work through them. And I think if you're looking to really show up in the best version of yourself, if you're looking to create bigger outcomes in your life, then embracing all of these perspectives and finding a path to work through it and achieve them would be huge. And so again, the six personal perspectives, It's the pursuit of self-mastery. It's understanding the 80-20 principle. It's moving from E to P. It's being learning based. It's removing limiting beliefs. And finally, it's being accountable. So I trust that you got exactly what you needed today. And if this really hit home for you, let me know. I want to know how this is helping you or how you're working through it. I especially want to encourage you to share this with other people because I am sure you're not the only one who could benefit from it. So please do share this with others. It does allow me to fulfill my purpose and my mission, which is to help people really come into the full expression of themselves and reach higher levels of their own potential. So I thank you for doing that. And as always, I appreciate you being here and I definitely appreciate your 5-star reviews. So thanks for that. And I will see you next time.